with Bree. First of all, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
It's the things that you do, and it's a smile on your face. And as time goes by, I know I'm in a better place. I'm in a better place.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Labrita. Welcome to Buying and Selling with Bree. First of all, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I know right now everybody's probably still out shopping and trying to get food and stuff for Thanksgiving, and most of all, looking at them sales papers to see what's going to be, you know, on sale for for Black Friday, as well as myself. First of all, I want to say again, thank everybody for tuning in, and to those who will be tuning in. I have been absent for about 2 months, so I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. Starting in February, I'm going to have two shows. One is going to be 30 minutes, and the other one may be an hour. I may even drop that one down to 30 minutes. It depends on, how things are going. But first, let me say this: the housing market, it's still hot. It's still hot. It is a seller's market. The sellers now are getting so many offers on their houses that sometimes it's hard to choose from. Sometimes they'll get an offer and it might take 2 or 3 days before they even, make a decision. Um, Conventional, most people are, selecting conventional loans. People are bypassing the appraisals, and some buyers are even bypassing the home inspection, which I do not recommend, but it is still up to the buyer. um it's just inventory is really low. It is low, and it's probably, I see that probably going to be like that, for a while, until the market just uh, flattens out a little bit. That might be next year or a year after that. No one really knows. So we just have to take, 1 month at a time. And also too, with the conventional loans versus the FHA loans. Uh, when you get a home inspection or something, it's just a little. FHA is really a government loan, so they are real, strict about some things. Right now, the FHA buyers, they are really having a hard time getting offers because they are FHA buyers. And it is a government loan, and it is just so hard because if a FHA loan is accepted, and the person, you know, gets a home inspection, whereas something on an FHA loan, you can't bypass, but on a conventional loan, you might be able to, bypass it, just a little bit. But I tell all buyers, it doesn't matter whether you FHA, it doesn't matter whether you are conventional, it really doesn't matter. Keep moving. Just keep trying until it. Just keep trying. Just never give up, and you will get an offer. So, and also with the conventional loans, with the people that are bypassing the appraisals, it's a good thing for some people, and it is a not so good thing, because if you put an offer in on a house and the appraisal comes back low, you as the buyer has to bring that cash to closing, in addition to your closing costs. Whereas the FHA buyer, um, if they put in an offer and the appraisal come back, that's where the listing agent and the seller's agent will negotiate, because sometimes it can be met halfway. But on the conventional loan, when they bypass the appraisal addendum, when they give the appraisal addendum, it doesn't matter. You took that house, you put an offer in on that house. Now you have to bring that extra money to close. A lot of the sellers too are, the VA loans are, even giving a hard time getting accepted. So in this market that we're in this seller's market, you have to make sure that your offer is strong. You might want to pay for title, or if you don't have a survey, you want to pay for the survey, make your earnest money strong, or shorten down your option period, and stuff like that. So you just have to, if you can close early on a loan, that will help the buyer as well. That will help the seller, to make a decision. And then sometimes, sellers already have, you know, uh, their mind made up. It's a lot of cash buyers, a lot of iBuying out there. So a lot of the buyers that are cash buyers, and when the seller sees that, some of them are closing in 10 days, some of them are closing in 30 days, but all they see, is the cash. And that's why a lot of the houses that were bought by iBuyers, some of them are still sitting on the market, right now. And for FHA buyers, when you buy a pre-existing home, most of the time it's probably not going to be in an area where, you would like to be, or, something like that. Just be mindful your price range. If you have a house that's for 250, that's a real tight price range. So if a house come in that area, just know it's going to be 20 to 30 offers on that one price, on that one property. That's just how it is. So buyers, especially FHA buyers, your earnest money can be strong, shorten down your option period. And another thing you can do is put a big down payment. That will help as well. On the FHA. On the conventional, it's the same thing. They bypass the appraisal. They put a lot of money down. They shorten the option period. Like I said, some people are closing within 21 days. It depends on everything. So I tell every person that's looking to buy a house, never give up, keep going, talk to your agent, communicate, communicate, communicate. We only know, what you want or what you don't like is when you talk to us. So just be open with us about what you like, what area you want. Then that will help us know which direction to go. Because if you one day you in Fort Worth, one day you in Arlington, one day you in Grand Prairie, that's kind of difficult for us to. It's not difficult, but it narrows down everything. So if you say, hey, I want to live in Fort Worth, I want to live on this side of town, but my second choice is this side of town, that will make it easier for us. But you have to narrow down, the area where you want to live. And so that's why now too, new construction is hot, because the FHA buyers, they are not getting the homes that are on the market. So they are going to the new construction if they can afford it, because the average new construction right now is well over $300,000. So those ones that are not over there can't be approved for over the 300,000. You got to keep grinding and keep pushing. I know it gets frustrated. I know you just feel like you're not going to ever get a house, but if you keep pushing and keep pushing, um, you'll get a house. And one thing about buyers, it doesn't matter whether you're FHA, VA, or conventional, you have to make sure that your credit is in order. And tonight we have a credit specialist. She'll be on in a few, but you have to make sure that your credit is in order, because the higher your credit score, maybe the better your interest rate, but also too, it will go against your debt ratio. So the person that's coming on tonight, she can help you. She'll tell you what you need to do. If you need help, she'll give you her information. But I strongly recommend, before you even apply for a loan, you pull up all your bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and you look at your credit report and see, hey, should I apply for a loan? Do I need to get a credit repair person? Or just reach out to a realtor, and they may have someone that can, help you with your credit, and then that credit person can send them to back to you once they get everything straight. And it'll all work. It may take about 4 to 6 months to get everything straight, but it can get done. The main thing right now with buyers is student loans. I don't know too much about the student loans. You're going to have to, really speak to the lender about that. But that is stopping a lot of people for from buying a house right now. Is student loans. Their credit still can be good, but that student loan might be high, so it's kind of putting them in a different, debt ratio. So just remember, when you apply, before you even apply for the loan, pull up your credit report, look at your credit report, see what's on the credit report. Talk to, find a realtor, get an expert. They'll send you to a credit repair person, and that credit repair person will send you back. The better your credit score, the stronger your credit score, the better interest rate you'll get. The lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate, and that will make you qualify for less house. So I want to say never give up. Just keep pushing. All buyers, FHA, conventional, and VA, just never get up. Conventional right now has the upper hand, and the cash people have the upper hand over the conventional buyers. But there are people that are getting FHA offers accepted. So I just want to say, just never ever give up. Keep fighting. Save money. Save money. When you know that you are getting ready to buy a house, start saving your money, because lenders like to see money in the bank. They like to see, that you have something in the bank to say, hey, okay, they got a little in the bank, we can work with this. It's kind of hard to get approved for a loan when you don't have anything in the bank. So that'll be a positive in the bank, that you have some money. And sometimes there are buyers that have a lot of money in the bank, and their credit might be a little shattered, but the lenders looks at, we can do this once they get that done. So all I can say, the market is still a seller's market. Multiple offers are on every property. Um, so just never give up. Just keep trying and keep trying. Um, do what you need to do, and everything will be okay. So, like I said tonight, the main thing everybody is having problems with is credit. Credit is a problem. It is just such a big problem that some people just give up. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. But just make sure you get with the right person. Make sure your realtor get with the right person, because you want to just make sure that you are don't want to spend a lot of money and saying I can do it myself, and let a professional do that for you. That's what I say. So once you get with a credit repair person, that person will tell you, what you need to do. So just remember, every every person every person's situation is different. So if your friend says, "Oh, I did this and I did that," but their debt may not have been as high as yours, or their credit score may have been better than yours. So just take your situation, because we can't compare. I can't compare mine to yours. So just try to go in with an open mind and everything else. And the credit people, when you go to a credit person, you be like, well, my friend said they got it done in 60 days. Please understand that it is COVID still, and that people are, still working from home, and things are a little bit slow. So my guest tonight is Demetrius Ross with Ross Financial. She has a exciting, real TikTok page. Her clients are happy. Her reviews are great. Um, you will love her. I want you to ask a lot of questions. She will give you her information. Uh, she will set up a consultation with you to talk to you about what you need. In the meantime, if your credit is okay, just give me a call, Labrita Dues, at 817-975-9284, and we can sit down and do a buyer's consultation, and just to see where you are. So without further ado, let's welcome Demetrius Ross, from Ross Financial.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing today?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me and introducing me. I am glad to be here back on your show. and answer any questions regarding credit. You mentioned a lot of great points, so I appreciate that. I'll go over a few things. And as Miss Labrita said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to chime in and I'll do my best to answer them.
So let me ask you something. What is the main problem or that you see what the buyers are what do you see mainly that's an issue with the credit reports?
Well, it varies. It definitely varies from client to client. I think a lot of the issues are usually going to be collection accounts, mainly because I see a lot of consultations or even just scrolling the internet, a lot of advice about not paying collection accounts. If it's gone to a collection agency, it's not your debt anymore, and that is furthest from the truth. So I think really understanding why your credit score is low, what you can do individually, because everybody's
Hmm.
situation is different. But mainly, like I said, those collection accounts are really what's holding a lot of people's scores down.
So the medical bills, how are they affecting people now as far as credit, or are the lenders really looking at that now, or like they say, oh, it don't affect it? So what are you seeing from some of the lenders about medical bills?
It really depends on the lender. Most lenders have their own criteria, but for the most part, medical bills do definitely count. They count
Okay.
in the credit score. That's a big misconception that they're not counting in the credit score, and also that you don't have to take care of that kind of debt if you're going for a home loan. It's just like any other account. It's going to be specific to a lender, but depending on the dollar amount, if it's a few $1,000s, usually if it's over $1,000 or $1,500, it's going to depend on the debt to income ratio, but medical debt still definitely plays a big part in if you can get approved or denied for a home loan because it's not specific to medical debt. It really
Hmm.
depends on your income compared to all the debt on your credit reports.
Okay, like I was saying earlier, everybody, you shouldn't compare your credit to your friend, because sometimes people will come in, they say, well, my friend went to this person and they got their stuff done, but your friend credit may not have been as bad as yours. So, or they just not, sometimes they may not be telling you the whole story. How does cell phones and light bills and stuff affect your credit report?
And I think that was great for you to mention. Like I said, everybody has a different story. You may have 15 collections and your friend may have five. The amount of time that you're going to be in a credit repair program or even working on your own credit is going to vary depending on how you are applying yourself, how you're paying off your card balances, how you're paying off your debt if you have any. So the um, the programs where you're able to add things like your electric bills and your utilities to impact your credit reports,
Hmm.
they're good for what they are, but I don't recommend them only because the main one that people usually are talking about lately is Experian Boost. And of course, it only impacts that credit bureau. So I don't recommend it. A lot of the times it looks like it's just to not necessarily gain access to your bank accounts, but it gives you that initial boost, which could be 10 points, 5 points, 20, 30, 40 points. But you're usually not going to get and build a whole bunch of credit off of just one credit report and off of your light bills. The biggest thing to look at your credit reports, if you need to build credit, I always
Hmm.
recommend at least two credit cards first. That's definitely where you want to start, but not dependent on necessarily your utility bills to build up your credit reports.
Okay, so on the Experian Boost, it's only for Experian, it's not for TransUnion and Equifax.
It's only for Experian. The good thing is it impacts FICO scores. So if you know the difference between Vantage and FICO, FICO
Hmm.
is what lenders look at. Of course, you go for a home
Okay.
loan, they're going to pull your mortgage score. So you may get a boost on your Experian FICO scores, but like I said, usually that's a one time thing, and you're going to just see that sitting on your credit report, just Experian. It's not going to probably move too much after that. So I get people enrolling, getting a consultation, and they have the Experian boost. And it's listed on the credit reports. I believe it says something like self-reported telecom or something like that, but
Okay.
it really doesn't help. It doesn't. No.
Okay. One thing that caught my attention, what you said that they have to have access to your bank account.
Yeah, so when you sign up for Experian Boost, you go through terms and conditions and then you agree to link your bank account. Usually, like you're going to like apply for a loan or something. It's similar to the system that companies are using called Plaid, but you enter your bank information, your login, your username, and in order for it to see the bills that you pay
Mm-hmm.
continuously and on time, it tracks what you use on that account that you connected to.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the way that they know if you paid your light bill on time. You paying it at the same time each month. So that's how they can record and report it to your credit reports.
So, what is the average increase in score with the Experian, or is just different depending on how long you had that account, or how does that work?
Yeah, it does vary just because, like I said, it's only Experian, but also I've seen as high as like 40 points, and I've seen people get
Oh,
like 5 or 10 points. It really, the biggest reason that it's not going to make a huge difference is because your loan officers, they're going to look at all three credit reports. So if you get a 20 point or 40 point increase on Experian, that doesn't do anything for
okay,
TransUnion and Equifax, where your loan officer is going to take your middle score. So it would need to really impact at least two credit reports in order for it to be beneficial to the client.
okay, okay.
But it definitely varies. They're going to look to see if you have on time payments, if they're consistent, and that's how they're able to import it to your credit reports.
Mm-hmm.
But the average, like I said, I've really seen as low as like 10, 15 points. And that's good for
Oh,
somebody that
wow.
needs those points. If just say you're going to a company and they're going to pull only Experian. Just say you want a credit card and you only need a few points. That may be
Mm-hmm.
beneficial to you. But if you're looking to get a home loan, a auto loan, they're usually going to check more than one credit report. So definitely
Okay.
keep that in mind.
Okay. The other question that I have is, how long does that stay on your credit report? Is that 40 points stays, or does it just for uh, uh, a short amount of time? Or
That's a good question. So it's actually going to stay on your credit report as long as you have that account linked. If you decide, hey, 6 months later, I'm done with this, I don't want this on my credit report, the terms and conditions tell you that if you unlink the account, then that
Mhm.
account is closed. Of course,
Okay,
you're still paying your light bill or your phone bill or whatever utilities you connected to it, but it's going to show as a closed account on your credit report. So it may actually take those points away.
okay. We have a question right now. It says, how easy is it for property management companies to get approved for loans to purchase homes? Do you do you know, or do they still have to go? In other words, the property management company. I'm thinking she's talking about like a LLC maybe, because that might be a lender question. So will the property management company still have the same credit requirements, you think, as an individual when they apply for a loan, or they'll have a different credit requirement, just from your experience?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So if that's what she's saying, I didn't know if she meant that, if an individual, if that's what she does, or if that's a
mhm,
business. But I can't talk too much on that. But from what I
right.
know, the business would still have to show that it's profitable, that there's revenue there. It's still going to be a little bit different from personal credit. They may check your business scores, and the main thing is they're going to check what kind of revenue and cash flow you have
Yes,
through your
yes.
business.
And so, just from a little bit experience from talking to different people, they got they count the money that's being deposited in their bank account. That's how they are going to get approved for a loan. Stated income. So all of that is it is a lender's question, but just some dealing, with people,
Mhm.
that buyers that are buying houses, that has businesses, they use their stated income, but they still have to show that income has to be consistent. It can't be 2,000 this month and 1,000 next month, or 4,000 this month. It has to show a consistency either over a year or 2 years. And with that question that she has, every lender has different requirements. So he or she would have to speak with that lender, to see what their requirements are, versus a personal loan. An individual going for a personal loan. Some of the stuff is still across the board. but still some lenders a little bit lenient and then some of them are not. But as far as a personal loan, the lenders, are across the board right now. And what is, from your point of view, what has been the average credit score that lenders are looking for to get approved for a home loan?
It did change a little bit during the pandemic, because they raised the credit score requirement and then they started to lower it. I think for most lenders, it's going to
Hmm.
vary, but for most lenders, it's back to about the 620, 640 range.
Okay.
I think that earlier you were talking a little bit about conventional versus FHA, and that was good to speak on just because,
Hmm.
both of those have different criteria. From me, um, going through and talking to a lot of people and clients in the credit repair program, or even those that aren't, I think a lot of people are trying to get the minimum credit score just to be able to qualify for a home loan. And most times that's going to end up you only qualifying for FHA. And in this market, as you mentioned, FHA is still getting offers, they're still closing, but there's a lot of stipulations.
It
So with
very much so.
anything, I think it's best that you understand what the lender's minimum credit score requirement is, but overall, just try to aim and have a goal for the highest credit score that you can get individually. If they have a 640 minimum credit score, see if you can get a 650, 660, 670. I believe it's every 20 points that you increase that you may have different loan terms. Maybe your
Hmm.
interest rate may change. But overall, I think that everybody should aim for the highest credit score, not just the minimum. That way you can save. Sometimes a very small change in the percentage on the interest can
Yes.
save you thousands of dollars over the life of a home loan. So definitely consider that.
And one thing too, that I ran across with my last buyer, my buyer now, um, when you're tight, you got to be careful where you go, because the HOA fees and the property taxes sometimes will just put you over. And whereas you had a conventional loan, it just happened tonight. My clients
Mhm.
now have to go to a FHA loan because the taxes kick them out of being a conventional loan. So that's why you have to make sure that even though it was two people in the house and the other person can't come, they have to understand that when you are a couple, that person's debt still counts towards that person that's applying for a loan debt, regardless of whether you are married or not, because this is Texas and it's a community state.
Yeah.
So buyers need to understand, you are exactly right, that their credit score needs to be as high as possible. And also, too, buyers need to understand that they need to get a high credit score, because sometimes when they get down payment assistance, they have to go by the interest rate depending on which type of down payment assistance that they get. And a lot of them don't understand that.
I'm glad you
Um,
brought that up too.
mhm,
Just because the down payment assistance, there's a lot of misconception in people not understanding that down payment assistance doesn't mean that you don't bring anything to the closing table.
mhm,
People are under the impression if I get and qualify for down payment assistance, that's $0 out of pocket. I don't have to pay closing costs. I don't have to pay any of the other fees, and that's usually not true. So I think when you're working on your credit, whether you're with a credit repair company or working on it by yourself, that you understand that there's so many other fees outside of down payment assistance. So like Miss Labrita mentioned before, you want to make sure that you have funds available whenever you
yes,
do get closer to
mhm,
closing. It's definitely important to save, but for me, I advise clients we can get your credit to where it needs to be, but it's very good to know what kind of fees you're going to be looking at. And usually,
yes,
lenders give you like an average, maybe have $3,000 sitting in your bank account or something like that. But also, maybe don't be so stuck on saving money if you can apply it to any of your debt to improve your loan, if that makes sense. So just say if you had collections, maybe we worked on or you worked on reducing
uh-huh,
those collections
mhm,
over time. Instead of
mhm,
having like $10,000 sitting in your bank, if you have a few collections that you can go ahead and knock out,
mhm,
then Granted, it's not always going to be that the collections that are paid are going to improve your credit score, but it's very possible that it can. And it's still going to look better to a lender that you have more paid collections than unpaid. So you can apply some of those funds to improve your credit to possibly go from a good interest rate to a great interest rate, or possibly go from qualifying only for FHA loan to qualifying for conventional. So
Right.
I just said all that to say, it's you definitely want to have money saved, but
Mm-hmm.
focus on your credit first. That's what's going to get you in the door to even be able to speak with a lender, to get to a realtor and start the home buying process. But just make sure that you have the best credit profile possible. And like you mentioned earlier, it's not going to be good for you to be improving your credit if you're going to buy a home with a spouse or a partner and both of y'all aren't working on your credit. Both of
Right.
y'all, if both of y'all are going to be on a loan, then
Mm-hmm.
both of y'all maybe need to be working on your credit at the same time. That way,
Mm-hmm.
you don't, because it depends on the lender, but I believe most times they're going to pull the middle score from both of your credit profiles. So make sure that you're both good credit wise.
So speaking of paying stuff down, I found out personally that when I paid some of my stuff down to zero, I thought that it was gonna help my credit, but it actually didn't. I just should have left something on the card. Can you explain to the audience why paying everything down to a zero balance may not be a good thing?
Yeah, yeah. So if I know you follow me, and I always speak on whether you have followed me for a while or very like recently. Most times I'm letting clients and people that follow me know a zero balance is not good for when you're building.
Wow.
It may be good later whenever you
Hmm.
have several credit cards and you've been in it for a long time, but most times a zero balance is calculated. Actually, let me say, I've heard that it's calculated as the same thing as you using 30% of your credit, and that's kind of
Oh,
like a penalty. So I always
oh,
advise 1 to 7% of the credit limit. I don't say 30%. 30% is way too high. So you see that a lot on forums and blogs and the internet, using 30% of the credit limit. That's way too high. Anything over 7% does start to change your credit score in the wrong direction, but
okay,
always leave at least 1% on the card. So you have a $200 card. Every statement that comes out, you want to make sure that it's at least $2 left on that card. If it's $1,000 credit limit, you want to make sure there's at least $10 left on that card. Just because you want to have the credit bureaus give you the max points possible, and it's calculating and showing that you're actually using that card instead of it reporting a zero balance. They don't know if you're using that card or not. And the whole
okay.
point of building credit is to use your credit.
So explain to me why, and I'm pretty sure you probably had buyers and maybe some realtors ask you when the lender tells the client, "Oh, you need to pay that off," and then when they get back, they rerun their credit. It's down 10 points. Why do lenders do that, knowing that if you pay it down to a zero balance, that it may hurt their credit and then it may not qualify? So is they just want that? Do the lenders just want them to pay that down for a debt reason, or what happens? Why does that happen if the lender tells you to pay it off, and then when you do, your credit score goes down? That's kind of like the opposite of what you just said.
And I see that all the time. I'm connected to several lenders.
Okay.
Just like they educate me, I
Mm-hmm.
educate them. So we're always, providing value to each other. And a lot of
Uh-huh.
lenders, they are not familiar. Of course, they know what it takes to get approved for a home loan, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not familiar on sometimes how different actions change the credit score, how different actions change the
Okay.
credit score.
Okay.
So
Okay.
whether you're getting ready to buy a home loan or
Mm-hmm.
anything, I think the
Uh-huh.
biggest thing to take away from this, if you're trying to build, is to never pay your cards down to zero. Always leave at
Okay.
least 1% on that card.
Always leave at least 1% on there. So that's good to know. That's really good to know. So can you also explain to the people the difference between credit, card credit, and loan credit, installment loans? Which one improves your credit score better? Which one helps more? Revolving credit or
hmm
which one?
So A good credit mix is very good to make sure that you have. You don't want to have only loans. You don't only want to have only credit cards.
Okay.
But if you are at a point where you don't know what to do, if you're just starting off building or rebuilding, you want to make sure that you have at least two credit cards that's revolving. A
Okay.
good credit mix is having revolving accounts and installment accounts. So
Okay.
two credit cards minimum. Most people do have to start with secured cards. So I get a
Okay.
lot of people that's, you know, being held up and they're not building their credit just because they don't realize that you have to use your credit in order to be able to be trusted with credit. So sometimes you have to put your own funds on a card. So the revolving credit, that's credit cards, that's going to be beneficial along
Okay.
with installment accounts. So you need both for a good credit mix. If you don't know where to start, or maybe where if your funds are low, self
Mm-hmm.
lender or self, it's actually called self now. It's a good installment account to start with.
Who is
Uh,
that?
self, SELF.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if you go to www.self.inc, what they will do is open an installment account for you. It's a credit builder loan that allows you to save money and build credit at the same time. I let
Okay.
my clients know that they usually can start with the lowest plan. What it
Okay.
is you start for about $10 and you pay usually about $30 into that account each month.
Okay.
Every monthly payment is reported as on time payment to your credit to all three credit bureaus, and they actually put it in I forget what it's called. They put it in a savings account. And at the end of a 12-month period, they send you a check for everything that you save, minus the little bit of interest. So, like I said, you're saving and building at the same time. But outside of that, to answer your question, you need both. If you want to start
Okay.
with anything, you need credit cards. But if you're
Okay.
low on funds and you know you need to get a boost, pretty soon self is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the best thing to start with. There's a little bit, I'm sorry, more to that. If you have student loans, if you have an auto loan, then self is not going to be beneficial to you because those are also installment accounts. So,
Okay. So
um,
that's what I was going to be my next question. Can you
right.
explain to them what are a few examples of installment accounts?
Yeah, so personal loans. Some people get Fingerhut. Depending on the type of account you get with Fingerhut, it is
Mm-hmm.
usually the Fresh Start account. I believe that's what it's called.
Okay.
It's an installment account. If you get a
Okay.
personal loan, One
Okay.
Main Financial, or any personal loan that reports to your credit, that's an installment account. Student
Okay.
loans are installment accounts. Mortgages, of course, are installment accounts. You also have the auto loans; those are installment accounts. So if I had a client that was interested in credit repair, or a lead that was interested in credit repair, and I looked at their credit reports, if they already had open student loans and an open auto loan, self
Okay.
is not something I would recommend. It's not going to do anything for their credit because they
Okay.
already have those type of accounts. Self is usually good for those people that are looking to build and they don't have, maybe they only have an auto loan or they only have student loans. Maybe usually I recommend two types of installment accounts, but if they already have open auto loans, open student loans, or open student loans and open a personal loan, stuff is not going
Mm-hmm.
to be beneficial to you as it would to somebody that doesn't have any open installment accounts.
Okay. So as far as like credit building, if they already have open installment account, self is not for them. What
Exactly.
about credit cards for someone that is building? Do you recommend a company, or can you say that, or they just need to go online and look and see?
Yeah, so I always recommend starting with secured. Some people are not going to have to get secured. It really depends on your credit profile. From what
Okay.
I've seen with the several credit reports I've looked at, if you haven't had any experience with credit cards and you maybe have limited collections, maybe three, four collections sometimes, you can get approved with Discover or Capital One. Those are very good self-funded secured cards to start with.
Okay.
Sometimes,
Okay.
depending on your credit profile, they may actually approve you for unsecured. So,
Okay. Okay.
I said self. I'm sorry. Capital One and Discover, they both have a pre-approval link. You can just
Okay.
Google Capital One's pre-approval or Discover pre-approval. Pre-approval means that you can put in your information and it's going to do a soft pull. It's not going to be a hard inquiry unless you fill out an official application. They'll let you know
Okay.
if you qualify for secured or unsecured. But those are definitely the two that I always recommend starting with.
Okay, there is a question up there, but let me ask this question. A hard pull, the difference between a hard pull and a soft pull. So you just said a hard pull is when you actually fill out the application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the soft
Ah,
pull, soft inquiry, that's you checking your credit, maybe an employer checking your credit. Soft pull, if you do pre-approval for a home loan, for a credit
oh,
card, for an auto loan, all of those
okay,
that have that asterisk at the bottom of the application that says this won't impact your credit score, those are soft pulls. That means they're just taking a
okay.
peek at your credit score.
And I just never, I see that asterisk all the time. Like when you get the advertisements in the mail, you look at that. So that's a soft pull. So the
Right.
hard pull is when you actually fill out an application, apply for credit.
Yeah, so I don't suggest anybody filling out an official application unless they get options that they maybe were approved. So if you
Okay.
go on, if Capital One or Discover tells you that you're approved, or Carvana or Car Gurus, anybody that has a pre-approval application, if they tell you that, hey, these are your terms, if you
Uh-huh.
fill out an official application, then of course that's going to be a hard inquiry.
Okay. So the question is, can self be something for children? Um,
Yeah,
can
good
that
question.
question is it are they talking about college kids, or are they talking about which age group, or you just can answer that question without them
Yeah,
asking?
I believe that just like most credit accounts, usually the age of 18. Of course, you
Okay.
can get credit cards and you can add your children that authorized users, but self in any primary accounts is usually going
Uh-huh.
to be age of 18 in order to report an account, open an account, and report it to the credit bureaus.
Okay. Okay. Now, speaking of credit bureaus, I know you've probably run across some stuff where maybe some parents have used their kids for, credit and stuff like that. How does that, I know it messes up the kid, but when a parent does that, that affects the kid. Well, I mean, when they do that, does the kid still have to go through credit repair? Or if the kids say, I didn't know that my parents was doing that, how do they get that off their credit report, or do they still have to go through credit repair as well?
It really depends. Most times, like that, even if it wasn't the parents, if it's anybody outside of that person, most times, in order to get it off of your credit report, you're going to be
Mhm.
looking at filing a like a police report. Like
Okay,
it's illegal to, of course, have that in someone's name that's not really
it
you. Of course, you
is.
put their social
Yes.
stuff, but they could go through credit repair.
Okay.
Most people, of course, are not going to want to file a police report on their parents, or if they know that person, maybe a cousin got credit or something in their name. Most people are not going to go that route. It can be as
Right.
simple as still enrolling in credit repair and following the same process, just going through the dispute process to see if we can get it off their credit report, just because usually the creditor is not going to have anything official that this person, this applicant submitted it on their own. So it can be a little easier to get that off of the credit report just because they will still have to have proof that this was the person that submitted an application.
Okay. So what if they don't know that person that's on that? What if they know the person and they say they don't know the person that's on their credit report? How does that work?
So you say if they know them, but they say they don't, like if they
Ah,
tell me that they don't know them, um, it
but
will
they
be the
know who it
same.
is because they don't want to get that person in trouble.
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
do you dispute something like that?
Yeah, that's why I say it will pretty much be the same because most of the time they're not going to want to file a police report. So I would handle it just like I would handle a normal account, um, looking for errors, looking for different violations to see if we can get it off of their credit report. Just because you're not going to file a police report to send in extra documentation, so it will go along the regular process.
Okay. And a couple more questions. How long does it take the average for you to all complete a credit repair, or how many items do you normally see that comes off of a credit repair report?
It really varies. So like I said at the beginning, I think I mentioned this a little bit. I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what credit repair is. They think,
Mhm.
hey, if I get into credit repair, she posts all these results. She's going to be able to get everything off my credit report. And that's just not how credit repair is. I let people know that I'm good at what I do, but I can't guarantee by law. I can't guarantee any deletions. I can't guarantee any results. And most consumers, they think results is only deletions. So that is something that varies from client to client.
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients where I got like 95% of the things off their credit report. I have also clients where we're 6, 7 months in, we haven't got anything deleted.
Oh,
So
wow.
deletions are depending on if I can find an error in that reporting. If I look at your credit report and I'm pointing out errors and violations every month, then that's what leads to getting accounts off your credit report. If there's no errors, if there's no violations, most of the time they're going to be updating that account to correct it, or they're going to remove it. If they continuously update it, then we're looking at, that account being reported accurately. It's not going to be removed. So it really depends. It depends on, say, how long someone has. If they tell me that they only want to spend 6 months in credit repair, if they say they
Uh-huh.
want to buy a house June of 2022, then we're going to have about 5 to 6 months to see what we can get off their credit report.
Uh-huh.
Let
Mm-hmm.
them know, hey, these are the accounts that we got off, and these are accounts that you may need to settle. But it really is going to depend if they've spoken with the lender or not. And a lender is going to be the one to tell you specific accounts that need to come off your credit report. So it's not a real detailed question that I can answer because it really varies.
Yeah.
But
By
just
person
give
and credit
time. Yeah,
report by
yeah.
credit report. Yes.
It really depends how much time you have to see what's possible. Most times I'm not going to work on negative accounts past 12 months, but that really depends if they've had
Okay.
new accounts added while I'm working. But
Okay.
most of the time, the closer that we get to a year mark, I'm letting them know, hey, these are accounts that we need to get paid in order for you to get approved for your home loan.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Um, you have a collection account. It's been sitting there when they sell it to somebody else. Is that a violation? You didn't
No,
give them permission to sell it to nobody else. So is that a violation? Because, most of us have been through that. So that's not a violation for them to, that's HIPAA, they wasn't supposed to sell that. So how do you try to handle that, or just give a little example?
yeah, right. And it really depends because it is specific to that account. Like if you just most of the time that HIPAA, of course, is medical debt. Usually
Mm-hmm.
when you go into an emergency room or you see a service provider, you sign something that gave authorization for them to do business and share your information with their business partners. So business partners are usually collection
Oh,
agencies. That's why
okay.
HIPAA
Okay.
is not usually a good thing to um, what is it? Usually a good thing to challenge accounts with because most medical debt is not HIPAA violation. Like I said before, a HIPAA violation is like if I say,
Mm,
if there's anything on my dispute results that say that I had cancer or I had heart
okay.
surgery, something, that's a HIPAA violation or could be a HIPAA violation. But
Okay.
your collection accounts being sold and shared with business partners is usually not a HIPAA
Mm.
violation. It's still your debt. They're still well within their right to collect. So your collections can be sold over and over and reported within
Oh,
7 years
wow.
of the debt being charged off or not being able to be collected on.
So after 7 years, that whole collection has to be removed, or if they keep selling it over and over again, so does that time start over when they sell it?
Mhm. No, it doesn't. That's the good thing is that no matter who owns the debt, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
many times they sell it, especially if
Mm-hmm.
it's like a credit card or something, um, not especially because it's really all accounts. I don't know why I said that, but it's going to depend on the first date of delinquency. So, say for example, if there's a collection that you got, or let me say an auto loan, that would be easier.
Okay.
Sometimes I have people that get an auto loan. They know that they got the car, say
Uh-huh.
in 2015. So they're thinking, hey, this repo is going to fall off my credit in 2022, but it really didn't go into default. You didn't go delinquent on this account until 2018.
I
So it's
got it.
going to be
Okay.
7 years from that date, 2018. So no matter how many times they sell this debt, whether it's
Oh,
medical or anything like that, it's usually 7 years to 7.5 years sometimes that it's going to fall off your credit reports.
that's the same thing with a foreclosure then. People don't understand, oh, I moved out in January, but it's when they
Mhm.
sell the property and get their money back. So it starts from that
Exactly.
date, not the date that
Exactly.
you moved out the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
One more question, couple more questions. Inquiries. They hurt your credit a lot. How do you is it when you get a new inquiry, is that 3 points, or how do you remove them, or they got to fall off by themselves?
I personally don't do a lot with hard inquiries just because, yes, they're 10% of your credit scores, but usually if you're piling up a whole bunch of hard inquiries, it's because of other reasons. It's because you continuously are getting denied for things. So
Okay.
I always tell people, hey, if they want to enroll in credit repair only for hard inquiries, you probably need to work on the other things on your credit report that's causing you to get denied.
Okay.
When someone enrolls in credit repair, I usually don't work on hard inquiries because
Okay.
there's usually bigger things.
Okay.
But other than that, of course, hard inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years, but they're only
Yes.
calculated into your score for a year. So any inquiries that you had
Okay.
prior to
Okay.
November 2020, of course, you still see them on your credit report, but they're not hurting you at all.
Okay.
Also, to add to that, after 6 months, the points that you lost they start to fade as well. The damage that that inquiry did starts to fade. So it starts to
Oh.
weigh less after 6 months, and it doesn't count at all after a year.
Okay. Okay. It's
Also,
just sitting there after a year, but
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't know that. So, um,
So I always
that's
tell
good
people
to
don't
know.
worry too much about hard inquiries just because it's not a huge deal. Most people, and it's not the case for everybody, but most people, most clients that I look at, they have so much more to worry about than hard inquiries. So focus on why you're getting those hard inquiries and possibly not being approved versus trying to get the inquiries off because most times you're not going to be a denial for a home loan just for hard inquiries. And that's most people's goal for credit repair.
Okay. One last question. Multiple addresses on your credit report and
Mhm.
multiple names. Is that a you see that a lot? Like we have made names, and when the credit card company spell your name wrong, how do you handle that?
I actually start off working on personal information just because it's a more stable. It looks like the client is more stable. So if you have 4 or 5 addresses on your credit report, that's the
Hmm.
first thing that we're going to try to update to make sure that your
Okay.
name matches across all three bureaus as
Okay.
well as your address matches.
Okay.
Because personal information, it's one of the things that helps get credit negative accounts off. That's
Hmm.
usually people
It
think it's a
does.
social where
Hmm.
an account is tied to your credit report, and
Hmm.
usually you only have to have that person's name and address. So
Okay.
we will update the personal information to make sure that it matches. But to creditors, if you have several addresses, it just looks like you're unstable and that
Yes.
you're
Keep
moving all
moving.
the time. So that's the
Yes.
first thing that we will update. And that's a simple phone call, or if you're rolling credit repair, we will update that. But it's usually just a simple phone call to the credit bureaus to give them the correct spelling of your name,
Hmm.
also the correct address, and tell them to ask them whatever to remove any old addresses or old employers.
Okay. So sometimes it's easy to get off, and then sometimes it may not. It depends on right now with the COVID situation. Are you finding things longer to get off of credit, or is just still the same as before, or is it easier now? Is it harder now? Which one is it?
Um, I think when the pandemic first started, it had
Hmm.
gotten to where it took a little longer just because the bureaus were given more time to process or to answer a dispute. For
Okay.
the most
Okay.
part, I think over the last few months, it's kind of gotten back to what it was pre-pandemic. But
Okay.
I think everybody that is interested in credit repair should just give themselves at least a year in
To
order to
get
see
done.
the biggest changes. I've had people graduate the credit repair program in 6 months. I've had people finish and approved for a home loan or pre-approved for a home loan as soon as 4 months. So It's really going to vary. If you know that you have 50 collections or 30 collections,
Mm-hmm.
you may not have the same results or the same time frame as somebody with fewer. Or if you have maybe 10 collections and we start getting accounts off, if I get 8 of those accounts off, but your credit cards are still maxed out, you're going to need more time in order to work on your credit, because usually high balance credit cards or maxed out credit cards are very damaging to your credit score. So it really depends from client to client how long it will
Okay.
take you to be in credit repair.
I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. And it was such a wealth of information. So, if you don't mind, can you give your website, your phone number, so everybody can, anybody that wants to contact you, they can call you. And so if they want to get the process started.
Yeah, again, so I appreciate you having me,
You're
everyone tuning
welcome.
in. Or if you catch the replay, I am Demetria Ross. I'm the owner of Ross Financial Solutions. I
Hmm.
own the credit restoration company. I don't um, partner with anybody or anything like that. So if you are enrolling, we're working on your credit and we're working to see if we can get the collections account reduced, how we can help you build credit and be able
Hmm.
to get knowledge to maintain it once you're finished with credit repair. If you're interested in enrolling or scheduling a consultation, my website is www.rossfinancialsolutions.com.
Hmm.
And I can also be reached at 469-616-3680.
Okay, what are your hours? What are your hours that when people call you, how long does it take for you to respond back to them or something like that?
So I tell everybody I really need to get like specific hours, just because I like over the last few months I feel like I haven't set like boundaries and I'm answering messages and things all outside of business
Uh-huh.
hours. My hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Anything outside of that I would usually answer the next day. If
Okay. Okay.
someone calls that line, we will go over information, just basic information, basic questions about their credit report. But if it gets too much into it, then we're going to schedule a consultation. My
Okay.
consultations are paid. So you pay $20 for a consultation, and that's not separate from an enrollment. So if you
Okay.
decide to
That's good
enroll,
to
that
know.
will be taken off the price of the consultation.
Okay. Again, I thank you so much. I really appreciate you and everything. Do you give classes on credit repair or did you just not right now or
So, are you referring to classes for consumers to learn about credit or for other
yes,
people to get in the business?
consumers to learn about credit?
I have started working on a DIY webinar, like
Mm-hmm.
just getting on like this kind of platform and speaking with
Uh-huh.
individuals about credit. So I've been working on it the last
Okay.
few months. I haven't finalized it, but I hope to have that ready probably first quarter of next year.
Okay. Again, mention your phone number. I think I don't want to hit the chat and I disappear.
Okay, yeah. My website is www.rossfinancialsolutions.com. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach me also on Instagram. I prefer Instagram messages versus this personal page. My Instagram is Ross Financial Solutions, and my phone number I can be reached, or you can call or text that line. I can be reached at 469-616-3680. If you don't get an answer, please feel free to leave a voicemail and I'll return your call as soon as possible.
Yes, and again, my name is Labrita Dews. I am a realtor in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight to my podcast, Buying and Selling with Bree. If you are looking to purchase a house in the Dallas Fort Worth area, you can give me a call at 817-975-9284, or you can also visit my website at www.labritadews.com. Just mention this podcast. Where did you get the information? And just let Miss Demetria know. Let me ask you something. Do you run specials sometimes, or
Yes, I do. I actually have a special right now for anyone that's following me on Instagram.
okay?
There
Hmm.
is a $300 off a 6 month plan. So if you follow me there and you're interested in credit repair, just inbox me and I will get you started.
Okay, okay. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. She does herself. She has her Instagram page and she is live. Sometimes she just pop up. She has her. You have your what do you call the real page and everything
Reels.
else. Yeah, your reels, and she has a little thing. Y'all just check her out as well as me.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate everybody coming on. Um, Take care, everyone.
Thank you
Thank you
for
again
having me. Thank you
for
for the
joining in.
It's the things that you do, and it's a sign on